and your head coach of the Colonels, Mr. William Glennie. We'd like to remind all spectators this evening to please keep your masks on at all times. We do have restrooms available located to the right of the concession stand as well as behind the backstop of the varsity baseball field. We'd like a warm welcome to our Ledyard High School cheerleaders and Coach Lori Doherty. And at this time, we ask that all fans rise, face the flag located at the scoreboard for the playing of our national anthem by the Ledyard High School Marching Band.
As the sun sets on the campus of Ledyard High School over Bill Mignault Field in the brand new turf, we are ready to bring you boys soccer action here in the ECC, and you'll have it all live on Game Day. Game Day is brought to you by the Burns Agency. Like Game Day, the Burns Agency is always local and live. We focus on local community, and you will always get a live person on the phone. So remember, you buy better at Burns. And by Waterford Dental Health, voted the #1 best dental practice 6 years in a row by the day's Best of the Best Reader's Choice Awards. Casey O'Neill along with the coach, Colin Delaney. Good to have you, Colin. Thank you for coming in and joining us. Keith O'Brien down on the sidelines patrolling for the information, and we are happy to bring you the Bacon Academy Bobcats from Colchester, Connecticut, here on the road against the Colonels of Ledyard. Colin, thank you for joining us.
Casey, pleasure being here again. I appreciate the invite. It's always a fun time out here with the Game Day staff. Looking forward to another great game under the lights here on a brand new Bill Mignault Field. Looking forward to it tonight.
Thank you very much. That we debuted the turf. We were here for Game Day, and the Colonels were a bit overmatched by the defending state champion Stonington Bears, but they put on a very good performance, especially in the early going. And what's interesting is that they then went out the next day and absolutely pummeled Fitch, who then went and beat Stonington in overtime. So, I mean, sort of clearly establishing each of them as a threat in their own right. Bacon Academy has a very, very solid program under Coach Skip Starks. They're a good, solid team, but they have struggled here in the early going. And, Ledyard, I think, clearly viewing this as a game that they should win, but also knowing that with a program like Bacon, they're going to get a competitive effort.
Yeah, it kind of goes without saying. We're in this really weird season this year. I think you're going to see some of these teams playing their best soccer from the mid-year on because it takes some time to gel. They had kind of an interesting preseason. The summer got kind of interrupted. And I think, Ledyard's got kind of a nice mix of some veteran guys like the Nick Washingtons and Damon Pollards of the world, with some younger guys. So once they begin to gel, I think you see a pretty potent offense going forward.
Yeah, the Pollard-Washington duo, they're both juniors, and we made mention of this earlier. They're going to be names that you call out for this year and certainly next year. They are very dynamic. I think Washington gets a lot of the attention, which frees Pollard up. And Pollard is an exceptionally talented player, very soccer savvy, and we'll be keeping our eyes on them. On the other side of things, the Bacon Academy Bobcats, a young team, and some insight into this team, only because I am a Colchesterian myself, and I've coached a bunch of these kids. I was actually chosen by Coach Skip Starks to to be the soccer coordinator for rec soccer many years ago before my son switched to football. And this young class of Bobcats, very, very talented. You see Aiden McLaughlin right there, a junior. But you're going to hear the likes of Stephen LaLiberty and Keegan Appleby and Ian Sargent, 3 sophomores who are all very, very talented. Here's Jaden Guerra, one of their better players, going with the right foot and well defended there by the Colonels.
Yeah, I mean, Bacon Academy, historically, from times ago and going back a number of coaches, from, Andrew Storton to now Skip Starks, and then all these kids you mentioned, McLaughlin, the younger sibling, of the older one, and then you have, the Liberty. So you have a number of kids that are the younger siblings of some really great athletes over the years. So certainly this should be a great game. A lot of, high-end, high-caliber athletes.
First shot on goal in front, and an early goal. It's all in, and it counts. Harry Snow beats McLeod, and that came out of nowhere. I don't think they thought there was a threat, and Snow was on the spot, and the Bobcats jump out 1-0.
Yeah, I think they just I think Ledyard's back end just kind of got caught standing for a second. It's almost like that happened so fast, down to the end line, across the box, and, kind of toe poke that ball in. So, yeah, I mean, once again, as we mentioned, quick chance of scoring there.
Blumberger, I think, was just content to try to put it on goal, and it ended up right on the feet of Snow. And I don't think that on the other side, I don't think McLeod really was expecting a shot, and you could see he was sort of caught maybe a little on his heels, and that's a huge early break for the Bobcats.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. I mean, the first 2 minutes of the game here, that happened probably about a minute and 15 seconds in. So certainly you're going to see probably a lot more pressure, and you're going to see Ledyard wake up pretty quick.
Bobcats playing it from the goal out of the back end, always dangerous. And there's a sideline clear. Guerra on a little bit of a run, and he's content to just air it out, and it'll be a throw-in for the Colonels.
Guerra's another one. You had Jacob Guerra, an older brother. So really, you have 3 or 4 players here that have some good soccer pedigree behind them.
Big head ball by Blumberger, puts it out, and here's an early run trying to get to it is Snow again, and they shield him off nicely, but it'll be a throw-in, and Guerra will take it on the far side. Guerra's going to leave it off for Ian Sargent. Sargent, an outstanding baseball player as well, left-hander, can run like the wind. Here's another opportunity in front, shot, and a save, McLeod. Snow with his second opportunity, and McLeod that time stood his line.
Bacon's playing a very direct brand of soccer right now, but on the floor. So very possession-based, but they're going right after this goal. They're not moving the ball too much east to west. It's very much down each channel and then getting quick shots off that. I don't know if Ledyard's quite ready for.
Well, we saw Stonington play an interesting 4-2-4, which gave Ledyard some problems, and Ledyard ended up sort of becoming very defensive. Bacon has gotten a lot of it. Here's a back post and headed out nicely, clearing it by Cam Reynolds, and it'll be a throw-in for Bacon. But you can see Ledyard here, I think, trying to figure out how Bacon is getting these opportunities with only 2 guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Billy had mentioned early in the season that, he thought that they were going to score goals in bunches, that they were going to be a very offensive-minded team, but his big job was going to be to sort out the back end. And so I think you're seeing that today, is they're still trying to get their feet wet about, what's the best fit for the back, how can they control that, because the likes of Nick Washington and Damon Pollard and so on, they're going to score goals. But you don't want to win games 6-5.
That's right. And that's what it looked like, how they beat Fitch. Here's a long ball. Claffey will come off the line and clean it up for the Bobcats. Tend to play it out to Stanchina. He tries to reverse field, but it's picked off by the Colonels, and now Washington and Pollard will go to work. Washington loses it. Matucci gets it over to Appleby. And Appleby on a through ball, a little flick that time by McLaughlin, but cleaned up by McLeod.
You mentioned Washington, is going to get a lot of, pressure and a lot of, attention, and you're right. I mean, 23 goals last year, big season, but really, he had a big season as a freshman year too, so he's no big secret, but they got to get some other guys loose, because if they're going to try to bottle up, Pollard and Washington, Ledyard's got their work cut out for him.
And we saw some really great work from the freshmen for Ledyard. We saw work from a couple. Elijah Stein played really well, and so did Peyton Luther. Those 2 freshmen played very well in that game against Stonington, and they when they were causing some disruption, it really allowed Pollard and Washington to get a little more free, because obviously eyes are on Washington and Pollard at all times.
Yeah, I mean, Billy knows what he's doing. He's gonna make the adjustments needed. He's gonna sort out his defense. He's gonna fix things the best he can for sure. So, you're gonna see Ledyard. I would expect them to rebound.
Appleby will throw it in to Snow. Snow head ball into the middle, and it's cleared back right out by Reynolds, although it's got caught up in the wind, and there Ledyard finally clears it, Washington, and so Bacon will have another throw, and Appleby will be almost the exact same spot. Appleby puts the throw right on the front post, and McLeod is there to clean it up, and a quick transition coming out of their own end. They're looking for Pollard. Bacon does a nice job retreating. Nice through ball there by Pollard. Little overlapping run that time. Pollard takes it down in the corner, looking for a cross. There it is, and a beautiful look off the head. It goes of LaPearl. He had a chance. That's a beautiful ball by Pollard. LaPearl just couldn't quite get the angle.
I do like the way that Ledyard's transitioning up the field together as a team. It's not this rubber band, mentality. They're kind of going up together. I would like to see the outside backs get a little bit higher to join the midfield attack, but in general, that was a nice overlapping run. Some guys get to the back end, and really the team gelled well as they went north to south.
Yeah, I really, the veteran goalkeeper, McLeod, we saw very good at the transition. Ledyard does a very nice job transitioning from its back line, and the keeper plays a large part in that. You won't see McLeod punt a lot. He enjoys, getting that transition started off of, throws, and he tries to keep it right on his midfielder's feet. And you saw there that very quick through ball, which allowed the change of the field and the overlapping run. It was beautifully set up. LaPearl was very close to having that goal.
Well, I think any goalkeeper with a good soccer IQ is going to try to build out of the back. Good distribution, ball on the floor, because any ball in the air is going to be a 50-50 every day of the week. So unless you got a guy on a break or a numbers up advantage, you got to play that ball, to possession.
And quite honestly, you see this firsthand with your great teams. You get some keepers with arms that can put a low roll throw, 20, 30 yards right onto somebody's foot. It's a weapon to transition out of the back for some of these teams. I would say, we talk about how the game has progressed over the years. The play of the keepers, I think, has come a long way. Turning the keepers into an offensive part of the game as well. How really great teams use their keepers and their back line to really push an offensive tempo as well.
Yeah, if you can make your goalkeeper the 11th field player, you're going to be at a big advantage.
Yeah, that's a great point. Burton with the kick. And off of a Bacon player, so a turn shot LaPearl. It will go wide and kept in, and it'll be a goal kick for Bacon Academy.
So you're seeing a little bit of a change of the tide here. So now Ledyard's kind of gotten this ball down this end, a little bit more, ball on their foot. They're trying to control possession a bit better. Now they've had 2 or 3 decent chances on the frame.
I'm a big believer. That's a nice flick right there. A little head ball, extra little effort that time by Snow, but out of bounds it goes. Garrett couldn't get there. I've always been a big believer, and I certainly wasn't as a player because I didn't know enough. But having broadcast more and more and learning more and more, I'm a big believer in patience with the ground, patience with keeping the ball on the ground, settling, pausing, letting the game sort of open up a little bit. Sometimes when the space is bottled, that one little pause can sort of open things up again. And Ledyard's very, very good at that. They're very good at sort of taking that little pause, keeping the ball on the ground, and I think that results in a lot of good looks.
Well, I think too often players are impatient, and they want to just play this ball forward. They want to play the old school, bring the soccer back 25 years and just knock it long. It doesn't work in today's game. You got to keep that ball on the field. If you move that ball east to west, it'll create holes in the opposition's defense, and that'll create opportunities for guys to get through. But you're absolutely right. It takes a little bit of patience.
Well, I think when pressure's on, right, as it is right now, the mentality is clear, like we saw right there. And there's times for that. I mean, sometimes, when in doubt, you got to get rid of it. But if you can have the wherewithal, as the great players do, when the game speeds up, you slow down. You've had some truly great players in your career as a coach. And I would say that one of the things that separates the best from the best is that ability to slow it down when everything around them is speeding up.
It's difficult because, a lot of anxiety. You have your foot on your ball, ball on your foot rather, and if you have the composure on the ball, it really can change the face of the game. I was fortunate to have some great players, and I always say, great players make great coaches. So, certainly I was fortunate to have some stellar guys, but, having like the likes of like Anthony Accolini, the current Montville head coach, as a goalkeeper, back in the day, he was a player that we could play out of the back with. Just a tremendous player in his own right, ended up going to be an All-American, and he was, a Division I goalkeeper for 4 years. So that definitely helps, having that 11th player, out of the back.
Yeah, great players do make great coaches, but great coaches know how to use great players. Bacon Academy will have the corner kick on the far side. Aiden McLaughlin will have that corner kick. A little curl into the middle and a beautiful head ball, getting it out of there by Burton. And now Appleby puts it right back in, but McLeod is ready, and they'll transition. McLeod taking his time, letting the Colonels push up, and this time he goes with the punt. And there you see, though, that punt results in a loss of possession.
I would really like to see Ledyard get a little bit higher with their top two. They got the forwards here sitting a little too deep. If they get those guys a little higher, be target forwards and play a little side on, that could be a good target player. Entry ball to those players, they can lay it off and build off that. I think they're sitting a little too deep, a little too defensive on the attack.
The Liberty had some nice footwork there, but ultimately it gets taken away, and LaPearl has it down the left side for Ledyard, trying to make a move on Appleby. Appleby does a nice job with the foot, stones him, and clears. But Ledyard steps in, Washington.
The benefit, though, of those guys sitting a little bit deeper, however, is that because they're playing the ball on the floor so much, they don't have to worry about running that ball so much. But on that big punt, as you just saw, no one is high enough to receive that ball. Went right back to the back four of Bacon.
Keith, you got Coach Starks.
1-0. You guys got a quick goal. Seemed to set the tone for you. Are you happy with the pace of the play right now?
So far, so good. Sure, I don't think any coach would say an early goal is a bad thing. So certainly we've had a little difficulty finding the back of the net so far. So that's a strong start for us. We'd like to keep our composure and keep them out of the attacking end, and we'll be just fine, I think.
Yeah, the lineup's a little different right now. Certain guys are getting their feet wet a little bit early.
Yeah, we got to switch the tricky little roster tonight. 4 seniors not joining us tonight, so we'll give some guys some extra time and time for guys to step up. They wanted the playing time. Here it is.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah,
Casey.
Thank you. One of my favorite guys in Colchester. Skip is a true gentleman, and I think it's great to embrace the opportunity to get some youth into the lineup. This is the future of the program. So, you can look at it like it's a negative that your seniors aren't here, but instead, you get a chance to get some kids some playing time. Who knows who's going to step up today?
And not to knock this season, because I'm certainly glad that the kids can get out and play. I mean, it beats the alternative, of last spring and so on. But it's a great season to get those kids some experience. It's an opportunity where, you're not playing for a state championship, but let's get some continuity here. It's built for the future.
Shot point blank and deflected. Well done by the Colonels. Washington stood tall and stoned the effort up front. Bacon starting to get a little more physical right now, led by Appleby and Snow. They have both been very, very physical. Appleby will have the throw-in for Bacon.
One thing I like about Bacon's attack right now is they're not wasting time with these passes. They're making sure every pass counts. They're finding ways to find that ball through the back end. They're really not toying around too much. It's two-touch soccer all over the field, trying to find that dangerous area.
Nice ball movement. La Liberty puts it up ahead. Running on is Matucci, but he won't get there as it'll trickle out of bounds. It'll be a Ledyard throw.
There's that entry ball I was talking about, Case. So you play that entry ball into like your number 10 up top here. Entry ball, he lays it off, then you play it back through the overlapping runs. That's a pretty dangerous situation because if that back line's not marking, they're going to get caught off.
And it's funny because the styles, I said great players make great coaches, but also great coaches know how to use great players. And there's, a guy like Washington, a guy like Pollard, so versatile, great goal scorers. You could use them in the midfield. So, it's up to a great coach like Coach Glennie to figure out, how do I want to use these two guys? How do I want to try to take advantage? What are their strengths? Same thing here for Coach Starks. He's got a bunch of kids in there. How do I want to try to protect them and put them, or do I want to try to put them out front and give them an opportunity? Maybe they're youthful, maybe a little bit of danger is a good thing for a team that's struggling to score goals.
I'll tell you what, it's a situation where, sometimes those hungry players that don't get playing time, they finally get that playing time and they play like animals out there. They really go after it and they show the coach what they have been meaning to show the coach, and today's that opportunity for Bacon.
Nice move by McLaughlin on the outside, gives it up to La Liberty, and La Liberty plays on and intercepted by Reynolds, and he'll turn it the other direction. And get a whistle, and it'll be Bacon Academy ball. I think, sometimes those sophomores, they're coming up from the youth leagues where they were most often incredibly dominant. They come up to the high school level as sophomores, and, it might be a situation, especially in COVID, where they haven't figured out yet that they're not rock stars. And by not thinking that they're not, they remain rock stars. There's some of these kids that come up and they get a rude awakening when they're playing with all these, seniors who have the experience and the body development and all that. Some of these kids might not know any better right now. Maybe it's a good thing. That's a nice ball right there, put right onto the feet. Pollard with a little...
Great touch. Great touch by Pollard. I mean, that ball right there, if he doesn't bring it down to his foot, that's easily going to be a turnover. Does a great job keeping that ball nice and tight. Now they have the ball in their attacking third now. I'd like to see Nick Washington get a little bit more involved in the attack here. He is a lethal goal scorer, and certainly he's going to get the attention of Bacon right here. But, if he gets in that attacking third and gets the ball at his foot, watch out.
Lessing plays it in and then just cleared out by Appleby. We have seen Ledyard very streaky offensively. Against Stonington, they were very hit or miss, where they went long stretches without any opportunities at all, followed by 5-6 shots on goal in a burst. Then they went out to Fitch and scored 6 goals against Fitch. They've definitely been very streaky. Coach Glennie, I think, recognized that he has a potent offensive team, but they seem to go quiet for stretches at a time, and that's something where you talked about getting better in the second part of the season. I think that's where Ledyard needs the consistency offensively to continue to put pressure on teams.
Reminds me of my Yankees, man. He scored 12 runs one game, and then they give up 12 runs the next game. It's like, come on, figure it out.
And it makes them an incredibly dangerous team, but it does not make them a team that can win three or four games in a row, because you can't have those. So they'll go out and they'll smoke somebody. They could beat Stonington, they could beat Fitch, and then they could drop a game to anybody because that sort of continuity isn't there yet. Low corner kick, dangerous, but well played out of there. Nicely done. Bacon got Stancini on it, and Stancini cleared and back in now for the Ledyard.
I like when teams mix up their corner kicks. Combination of low balls, high balls, some set pieces, some set plays. I think too often kids just want to dump the ball in the box for the same result. It's a lot easier to defend the ball as a header than as a ball on the ground or some kind of set piece or some kind of restart that involves a plan.
There is, in my opinion, again, I am not the soccer player that any of these kids are, but in my experience, the ball low by the kneecaps and down, going east to west, is the single toughest thing to defend. It gets deflected, it disappears, the keeper can't see it, it goes in different directions. I like that a lot more. I always found that the balls in the air were much easier to read, much easier to judge. You knew what to do on your line. And everybody can see it. Everybody that's in there can see it. Not everybody can see that low ball that's coming across.
And I think the more plays you have, it's a lot like basketball. When the coach, writes something up, obviously you can't call a timeout and bring it to the sideline, but we always had probably 6 to 8 different corner kick plays at Montfield that we'd run out there, and the kids would call it themselves or they get a call from the sideline. And it actually helps increase their soccer IQ, because now they're trying to think outside the box a little bit. We can't call a 30-second timeout. They have to figure it out. And they're calling plays out there, and when they work, it makes them feel pretty confident.
And that's when it's great to have a player. That's where the veteran player who's got that soccer IQ, who can, recognize, that's where those kinds of kids become invaluable. Even if they're not goal scorers, even if they're not just the playmaker who recognizes a formation or recognizes where there might be a gap. I remember talking, it was last year, and we had Stonington, and Stonington called a corner play on the fly because they recognized they recognized the opponent was not defending the far post well. The guy was leaking out or whatever.
Yeah, it's like an audible.
And they called it right on the fly. Yeah. Like 3 kids looked at each other and went, "Let's do this," and they scored a goal. And I thought that was, I just found that to be marvelous.
If you get to a point where your kids are able to, if you have several coaches on the field, that's more valuable than having an 11th field player or anything else, because now they can think on their toes. I always tell the kids, I can't call a timeout. I'm going to see you in 40 minutes, and you have to think on the fly. We got to play chess, not checkers. And I think, if you have these kids who have that soccer IQ and they can call an audible on a play where they don't think it's the way it should be, or they can change things up, or they change their shape. I've had teams to change. We're in a 4-4-2. Coach, we got to get another guy forward. Let's play a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. So if they can do that on their own, I mean, that's a huge advantage. That's taking from a good team to a great team.
LaPearl and Appleby doing work on the outside, and LaPearl kept in by Matucci, and now Matucci's going to head it back and forth. Appleby, La Liberty plays it into the middle, and the Colonels will step it out. I think that's going to go off of Appleby, and it will be a Ledyard throw. You know, the ability to do things, to sort of improv when you're out there, that's next level kind of stuff. And if you have a kid out there who's able to see the field and sort of recognize what is working and what isn't, because one thing that you mentioned, you can't call a timeout. Not only that, but I don't know how many people watching at home realize, or you can't really, you can't coach from the sidelines in soccer. The kids can't hear you. They don't know what you're saying.
No.
It's getting drowned out in the wind. So all this screaming that that gets done in basketball, it doesn't work in soccer. You can't hear a thing.
Oh, Casey, I've tried over the years. I've tried, and I feel like it works, but I know it doesn't. It's one of those things where, I mean, it's a huge field, 120 by 70 yards or so, and then you get a windy day. There's no shot.
Yeah, they're not good. So you have to rely on the times, and maybe you get a kid that runs up alongside you, and you can give him a message or whatever. But I love it. I love the idea that there's no timeout. You guys are gonna have to figure some things out on your own, and I think that's great. Direct kick.
And I think one of the things that I've learned a lot over the years from a coaching standpoint is less is more. Me yapping on the sidelines is not helping my players. It just increases their anxiety. They have to learn themselves. And the quieter I am during the half, the better off they'll be throughout the course of the season.
Sargent stepped in, took it away from LaPearl. That was a opportunity. And now Sports Doctor is going to be down on the sidelines with Coach Glenny.
Yeah, Coach, you guys are down 1-0 early. You've seen to right the ship a little bit here on the defensive end. What are you pleased and not pleased with thus far in the game?
Pleased with pretty much nothing at this point. That's an easy answer. Just everything right now. We're sleepwalking. We're too slow. Everything's just kind of a mess right now. And hopefully, luckily, we've got another 18 minutes here in the first half to hopefully clean it up.
Is it hard to coach your kids from the sidelines? It seems to give them a detail and a duty and a game plan. Have to follow through with it.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's not like other sports where I can call a timeout right now here and kind of bring us in and fix things. I've got to just do it on the fly, and it can be difficult at times.
Well, we'll figure it out. Casey?
Thank you, Sports Doctor. I'll tell you right now, we've had a really good run of success of late of getting into the coaches' heads.
But he said, we're sitting about halfway through the first half here. There's a lot of soccer left in the half. They have kind of, righted the ship, so to speak, as the Sports Doctor had mentioned. But Bill's right. They have to kind of wake up a little bit. They have to get their composure.
Shot fired wide from Blumberger, and it'll be a goal kick for Ledyard.
And need a little bit of rhythm. I think once they connect passes, I always tell my players, when things aren't going well, do the simple things right now. Connect the pass, connect the pass, connect the pass. Don't try to, do something fancy. Keep it really simple right now. And then as you do that, it builds your confidence, builds your team chemistry, and before you know it, you're scoring a goal.
That's right. Well, it's like anything else, right? When you're struggling, make it simpler and shorter. Don't try to make the 30-yard pass. Make the 3-yard pass, and do something good. I always challenge players on the field. Do one, when things are going wrong, just do one good thing. Think, one good thing. That's it. Just and if everybody does one good thing, it kind of builds that momentum up. Right now, I understand what Coach Glenny's saying. There seems to be no rhythm at all to what Ledyard's doing, and Bacon is definitely dictating the tempo right now.
Yeah, Bacon seems a little bit more active. They're definitely first to most of those 50-50 balls. So those 50-50s are turning to 70-30s, and that's going to put you on your heels a lot.
Now, one thing that will be interesting is the Bacon depth, right? 4 kids not in the lineup, so how much depth do they have? How many of those kids on that roster are going to play? And the answer might be they might be going Ironman soccer and maybe a sub or 2, and that we'll see in the second half.
I think they have like 4 field players on the bench plus a goalkeeper.
That's
so
right.
I mean, really 4 subs in an 80-minute match, could come back to bite them in the second half if they don't find a way to get a couple more goals here to give them some more breathing room.
And one of those field players is a freshman, Tyler Pulse, who just got called up onto the roster for this game. And the Pulse is another great sports family in Colchester. And Tyler, Tyler was playing 8th grade last year, running track, playing soccer, basketball. He's a good athlete. All of a sudden, now you're on the roster to play against Ledyard. It's happens quick.
Go back to Anthony Ancolini again. His freshman year, we lost our senior goalkeeper to an injury. Anthony went from being a JV starter to, hey, you're starting varsity now for pretty much, the next probably 6 to 8 games. And to this day, he says it was like deer in the headlights. I'm doing what, Coach?
I also got to wonder how much that helped his career. Like, does a year of JV soccer, this guy's, like you said, this guy's an All-American. This guy's a great player. How much does that little bit of time help him out? And we're going to get a penalty, it looks like, in the box, too. So we're going to see what the call is. Just outside of it?
Yeah, just calling him just outside the box there, right on the edge. Yeah, I would tend to agree. He always said that experience, although it was frightening when he first stepped out there, definitely helped him in the long run for sure.
Pollard will take the kick. Difficult angle, but always dangerous this close. There's that low ball in front and just wide. That was a good chance that time by Elijah Stein, but the angle was just tough on that side.
If Ledyard can tuck one in here and get 1-1 at the half, I think you're going to see a different team in the second half. And maybe you'll see it regardless, but I think they need that little momentum booster.
Well, Rob Rule says that 2-0 is the most dangerous score in soccer.
Him and everybody else.
I joked with him. I was like, I'll still take 2-0 over 1-0.
Tell you what, we often joke. So Andrew Storton, the former coach at Bacon Academy, ECC final at Montville, they're up 2-0 at half. And we had this kid named Jeffrey Tryon. You might have heard of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeff pretty much took the team on his shoulders and scored 3 unanswered goals in the second half. We won that game 3-2. And Andrew to this day always, ribs me for, hey, 2-0, most dangerous lead in soccer. And, I was on the, beneficiary end of that thing. But, yeah, it is. Because you kind of get that mentality of, we had this thing in hand. You kind of play a little lackadaisical, and before you know it, it's tied and you lost.
Well, I think we talked about this. Rob Roll and I talked about this. Because it's having a lead, how to play with a lead is actually one of the things that is very challenging throughout sports, throughout veteran sports, or for kids as well. Whether it's a 4-run or 5-run lead in baseball, or a 3-touchdown lead in football, or you can get how to play with a lead. Basketball is a great example. Is there anything more dangerous than like an 8-point lead with 2 minutes left? Because do you run your offense, or do you just try to sit back and eat time, and then you get bad shots? Well, soccer's no different, right? 1-0, you have to keep playing because they're a goal away.
Yeah.
But 2-0, you relax a little bit, and the next thing you know, it's 2-1, and then all bets are off.
I think a lot of it depends on clock management too. If it's 2-0 in the first half with 17 minutes to go, then you're going to probably stay with your game. But now if it's 2-0 with maybe 15 minutes to go in the game, maybe you're changing your shape. So we would often do things where we do clock management. All right, so here's a scenario. We're playing 11v11. We're up 1-0. And, what's our shape look like? Versus, all right, we're up 1-0 with, 50 minutes to play. So I think it's clock and also shape.
Appleby did a nice job that time clearing. It'll be a corner kick for Ledyard, and they'll send Pollard out for the corner kick. I just have a sneaking suspicion Ledyard's going to get one on one of these plays. Bacon's starting to fade back a little bit. Ledyard's starting to turn the tempo up a little bit. Players go on their runs. Pollard, low ball, in front. Feet are churning. Now you got to push out. Nice job by Bacon. No, and there's that whistle. I was waiting for it.
Yeah. Dangerous spot too. You're sitting about, roughly 25, 30 yards out. This could be a dangerous situation if, Washington or Pollard can put this ball in the frame. But you're right. Ledyard is, again, really dangerous the last probably 5 to 7 minutes or so.
Pollard's going to take this, and he has got the foot. We can see this. They're going to, comes up, bangs it high, and, it hit the football crossbar over the top of the soccer goal, but that was a bullet.
Yeah, he's very, very crafty when it comes to those set pieces.
And that's one of those balls that sinks.
Yeah.
And it's very challenging for a keeper. That was a beautiful ball.
You can put some pace on that and a little bit of topspin. Those balls dip quick.
As we're down under 11 minutes now, Bacon has not really had much in the way of offense here in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Ledyard has been turning up the pace.
I've noticed that Ledyard now is first to these 50-50 balls, where they weren't for probably the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the game. Now they're first to all these balls. And that's been kind of a difference maker here. Hopefully, Coach Glenning, which I'm sure has seen that, is going to maybe try to instill a little bit more, work ethic in these boys in those 50-50 balls.
Burton will take this one from the 35-yard line of the football field. And how many of these we've seen Ledyard with a lot of these lately. High, arcer, up in front, and we're going to get an offsides. Yep, they're going to get Pollard, I think, on the back, or is Washington, I can't tell. They're going to get Washington on the back line. Snuck ahead of the Bobcat. But how many of these kicks have we seen of late for Ledyard inside of, say, 35 yards? That's like the fifth one we've seen now in the last 10 minutes. It's definitely, the tide has turned a little bit.
I think like most good teams, once they kind of figure things out, get the rhythm, and hopefully they'll find a way to put more dangerous balls in. But really, I don't think Bacon's been over the half in the last probably 5 to 8 minutes.
And they haven't been able to clear it now. There's Washington, back to Pollard. Oh, beautiful. That was really well done with a one-timer. It just sailed it high.
Yeah, that's that great entry ball again, a little leave off, and then, you're close enough there for instead of a second pass, you get a shot in the frame.
And that's the other part that I like, and I criticized Pollard in Washington a little bit against Stonington. I believe when you're as talented as they are, that if you're inside of 20 yards and you have a spot, let it fly.
Yeah.
Because the other one runs on, you get a lot of rebounds. It's to me, you shouldn't just fire willy-nilly, but when they're as talented as them and you get 20 yards in, let it go.
I mean, we talk about law of averages, right? Use the baseball reference. You're a Hall of Famer if you're batting 300, which means 7 times out of 10, you are striking out, grounding out, you're getting out. In soccer, it's even less. You're going to put 10 shots in the frame, you'd be lucky to put 1 or 2 in. You're talking 10 to 20%. So if Nick Washington and David Pollard aren't taking, 5 to 10 shots each a game, they're not going to yield a goal.
That's right. And I think I wouldn't recommend, me running up and letting fly on all of them. But when you have the innate scoring ability, and that's the other thing is, in all sports, scorers know how to score. Washington and Pollard know how to put the ball into the net. So when they get an opening, let it fly.
No, for sure. And I'd like to see Nick get a little bit more involved in attack. I know Coach has him in that kind of defensive center midfield position, which I understand, trying to keep that back line in check. But you got to give him a little bit more slack to get forward here and get a shot.
And that's a good example of what we talked about. Great players and great coaches. There might come a point where Coach Glennie decides he's going to trust somebody else in that spot and turn Washington loose and say, go be more offensive. And if that happens, then Bacon will have to respond. But right now, they have to worry about Pollard, and Washington is really more of a midfield playmaker right now.
Although right now we're going to push kind of high, but you see Damon and Nick do a nice job of switching back and forth. They know where they are in the field at all times.
The Liberty lets it fly, just goes wide.
And you're going to see them swap back and forth. So you got Pollard in the midfield now, and you got Nick pushing up a little bit. So it looks like Coach Glennie might have made that switch recently to give Nick a little bit more space in the last probably 7 or 8 minutes of the game.
Goal kick for Ledyard as we're coming down on 7 minutes. 1-0 Bacon Academy on an early goal.
And this is where it becomes a bit of a chess match. So, Coach Starks, is he going to see that change? Is he going to make sure that they bottleneck up there? Because when those changes happen quick, if the players don't see it, the coach has to see it.
Beautiful little overlap with LaPearl on a touch pass from Washington, but Stout outside. Good defense played by the Bobcats, and it'll be a Ledyard throw. That was McLaughlin who did a nice job that time. Throw in coming in from Ledyard. Lessing. Dangerous ball in front. Left foot. Oh, to step through, and McLaughlin just got a foot on it as Washington had a point-blank shot.
Yeah, that's a goal if that Bacon player doesn't step in there. That's a goal. Nick's not going to miss that shot.
And that's what we're seeing a little bit more of, though. These sort of inability to clear. Bacon, more dangerous balls kind of hopping around in scoring areas. Here comes the corner kick. Far post, a little too far. That's going to head out of bounds, and it'll be a goal kick and a break for Bacon Academy.
I was always a big believer in high school soccer, especially, to always have one player on the weak side for any of those corner kicks, because sometimes these players get into one and it sails over everybody and nobody's there. If you have that guy on the weak side who can knock it right back into the mix, that could be really, really dangerous.
Oh yeah, and then you get the chain. Then you get that change where everyone's going in one direction and the ball goes back in the other direction, and that's a tough spot as well. And Bacon just needs to get the ball. Here's the Liberty. Bacon just needs to get the ball onto a foot of an offensive player. And there's, we're going to get a whistle. We are.
Yep.
That was Snow trying to get through, and they got a little trip on the outside by the Colonels, by Burton. And so Snow will have the kick, and he'll give it up. So we'll see who takes it. Looks like it's going to be Blumberger will take the kick for Bacon. McLaughlin looking for a step, right foot. Nice block by Pollard. And Pollard will turn and clear it up nicely to Stein.
Tell you what, when I see Guerra, McLaughlin, and Liberty play, it just reminds me of their older siblings. Just like the mannerisms and the body movement, it's really fun to watch.
Oh, beautiful move by Pollard. Stutter steps, was trying to put it through for LaPearl, and Claffey will come up and clear it with 4:45 remaining here in the first half. 1-0 Bacon Academy on an early Snow goal, and since then, stalemate.
You know, two pretty similar styles of offense though by both sides. Ball on the floor, back and forth, a lot of give-go patterns, a lot of entry balls and through balls. So really, they're looking for those holes, and you've seen it both ways. But the only difference being right now is that, you know, Bacon has been the beneficiary of a goal early.
Matucci just couldn't get there. It'll be a throw-in for Ledyard. And right now, Bacon would be, I think, thrilled to get to the half 1-0.
Yeah, they've been on their heels. They haven't had too many chances, and I think Ledyard's going to try to press here and try to get some more action going forward. And if they can find one of these guys in the attack, I think they might give themselves a goal here, but they got to be patient.
A smart decision by the Liberty, plays it outside. Sargent, check that, Guerra, heading down the sideline, and it'll be a throw. Guerra puts it out to Snow. Back to Guerra. Guerra makes a little move with the right foot and wings it. I think he winged it off of Snow, and it'll be a goal kick for Ledyard. We mentioned in our last broadcast that unusual at a soccer event, we've got the cheerleaders, not normally present in a soccer event, but their season has been, also impacted by COVID in that they normally are practicing. They're normally cheering at football games, which are not happening, and they're normally practicing their tumbles and throws and all of their work, which they're not able to do. And so, a little bit of sportsmanship here to show up and cheer. Gotta love that.
Yeah, I mean, you see it a lot in basketball games and football games, so now you have cheerleaders out for, substituting the Friday night lights with Wednesday night lights.
Absolutely, we love it. Blumbergner. McLaughlin.
I think any action right now is good action. I'm really happy to see players involved in athletics. It was a tough spring, and I'm just, so happy, and I think these players probably feel so blessed to have the opportunity.
Oh, that's a nice ball in front. Just nice save by McLeod as Matucci couldn't quite get enough on it. Snow gave him a nice ball, and Matucci got the left foot on it, but not with enough pace to really fool McLeod. And it'll be 2.5 minutes remaining. Appleby puts it right back in, and long ball running on Washington, but he couldn't get there. Very head up by Claffey. Now Pollard with the interception, cuts it back to the right. No, nifty move back to the left. Let's fly, left foot in front, far post, and it just goes wide.
Good idea, though. If you're going to miss far post, because you know what? You might get a deflection. You might get, a second chance opportunity from the keeper. But, yeah, I mean, if you're going to miss far, and then you had, Washington and another Ledyard player as well.
Yeah, Washington was there. If there had been a rebound, or if Claffey had come off his line to try to make a save, Washington would have been right there. That was a nice heads-up play by Pollard.
Yeah, then it becomes a layup. To Ledyard's credit, their back end has done a little better job the last probably 20 minutes of keeping Bacon more at bay.
And there's a bump, and Liberty goes down.
But you see this gap right here. I think Bacon's a little bit more, content with sitting back with this last, 5 minutes or so, keeping that one goal lead and sending too many guys forward. You're going to see a big gap between the attacking, third and the back third.
Like we said, we'll see if we can see any subs for Bacon anytime soon. And that ball is right on McLeod. A minute left. Let's see if Ledyard can mount something here in the last minute of the first half. You're watching Game Day live on theday.com. Casey O'Neill along with Colin Delaney, the sports doctor Keith O'Brien down on the sidelines patrolling. The Ledyard Colonels down 1-0 here to the Bacon Academy Bobcats with 45 seconds remaining in half number one. Snow running on and can't quite get there. The two players go down, and good no call, and it'll be a throw in for Bacon.
Now, speaking of subs, I haven't seen too many. I mean, I've been monitoring that closely, but I don't recall a sub recently at all.
2 subs for Ledyard in the very early going, and none for Bacon as far as I can tell.
This could be a battle of attrition. This could be a situation where fitness comes into play in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Ironman soccer for Bacon. 18 seconds remaining here in the first half. LaPearl to Washington, tries to get it to Pollard. Pollard does a nice job sealing off in the front to Washington. 4 seconds remaining, and a clear by Appleby, which will take us to the half. We are at halftime here at Ledyard High School. Bacon Academy with a 1-0 lead over the host Ledyard Colonels. Game day is brought to you by the Burns Agency. In your neighborhood, taking care of your home, auto, business, and life insurance needs since 1932. At the Burns Agency, you will never get voicemail. Always a live person. So remember, you buy better at Burns. And by Waterford Dental Health, where your smile and your health are our top priority. Well, Colin, I mean, it was a sort of a stalemate half for the most part. That one goal by Bacon was probably one of maybe 5 legitimate scoring opportunities, and Ledyard had its handful of opportunities as well, and but sort of a disjointed first half.
Yeah, I would say outside that the first, probably 5 to 10 minutes, it was a fairly even half. I think once that first goal was scored, 5-10 minutes later, you saw Ledyard kind of get into it again, and they had their chances as well. I would say in general, you might have, a pretty even shot, to shot-to-goal ratio between both teams.
We talked a little bit about the attrition, perhaps, coming up in the second half. What's the message right now? If you're Bacon Academy, let's say you're Skip Starks for a second. You're down 4 players. You got a 1-0 lead. What's the message here at halftime?
I think in general, he needs to be mindful of what his shape is. You saw Ledyard get the lion's share of the chances the last probably 15, 20 minutes. That could be a combination of A, fitness, or B, is it, his plan and his shape. Are we going to sit back a little more? I think if he sits back the second half too long, I think Ledyard's going to have a chance to score some goals, a little more easily. So I think if you're Skip, you want to kind of manage that. I think you go back out playing the same way you started, get those balls forward, more direct action, find the slots, find the holes. Don't sit back too much. I think if he does that for 40 minutes, I think he's going to be in trouble.
On the other side of things, if you're Coach Bill Glennie, I think even though he expressed his overall disappointment, I think you're probably happier with the last 10 minutes of the first half than you were the previous 30. So what are you telling your kids at halftime?
I think energy's got to be part of it. I think energy was one of the keys because you saw for a while Bacon was holding possession and winning more balls simply based on work ethic, being first those 50-50. So if you're Ledyard, say, all right, the last 15-20 now, we got the lion's share of that possession. Why? Because we're winning those 50-50 balls. That's got to be part of it. The other part of it is, can we get one of our goal scorers in more of attacking positions? Can we rotate a Nick Washington and a Pollard in the forward to kind of keep them on their toes? Not always Nick, not always Damon. Rotate that so that way their defense has to think on their toes and get those opportunities at those players. And 2, if they're able to get one of those guys forward, it might attract some attention to find another guy free in the weak side.
And that leads me to what I was going to ask, and you mostly answered it. Is there, is there an opportunity to get Nick Washington into a more offensive set? Now, he's there as a midfield playmaker, but we saw him get moved up a little bit, and I felt like he and Pollard have amazing chemistry with each other when they're both in, the front part of the attack. Washington in the midfield, I mean, whether it's a comfort thing, maybe sometimes, great players feel like they need to defer when they're in that position, but what would you do with Nick Washington in the second half what would you tell him moving into second half?
I would probably play him in the number 9 spot, that attacking center midfield position, and I put Pollard up top as one of those forwards, with the caveat that whoever your number 6 or 8 is, your holding center midfield player, he's got to sit in front of that back 4 and just kind of be that anchor. If he goes too wide or too high, it's going to leave a big hole in that back 4, which is going to create all kinds of problems because that's where the bread and butter starts with Bacon. So with that said, though, if Nick makes that overlapping run, Damon drops in and plays the number 9. So kind of have those guys kind of be interchangeable in the attacking area as long as you can trust someone to play that holding midfield spot.
How dangerous is it if you're Bacon Academy? You start to get tired. You're down the 4 seniors. You see that 1-0 lead, and you can taste the upset. How dangerous is it to fall out of fundamental soccer and get into sort of a defensive-minded kickball game where it's clear and run, just trying to sit on that lead?
Yeah, I mean, you can have Ledyard who might get into pressing, right? They're pressing for that goal. But then you got Bacon, who might be in a situation where, all right, we're down 4 of our leaders here tonight, and we're going to rely on these freshmen to have the wherewithal to keep this lead. So it could be a situation where do they have the leadership ability, the soccer IQ, to know when to play it long, when to hold on to possession? Because if you start playing kick and run, you're going to be playing kick and run into the back end of Ledyard, who's going to knock it right back in again. So that kick and run style doesn't always work because, once again, if you're sitting in this back end, there's going to be a gap between your back end and your forwards, which are probably going to be sunken anyways. And just be knocking balls to Ledyard's back four. And they're going to receive it, they're going to play it wide, and keep on just pummeling it. And eventually one's going to find the back of the net. And I'm telling you right now, if Ledyard finds one, they're going to find multiples.
Yeah, I felt like they are the finger in the dam away from opening the floodgates. Ryan Claffey really has not been tested in goal for Bacon Academy. He's played smart soccer. He's made good decisions as far as holding his line, but really hasn't had a shot to defend yet. And that's a testament to some of the defensive work that Bacon has done. Ian Sargent's played great, and I think I probably called Keegan Appleby's name any number of times, because Appleby on the near side has had the side where Pollard and LaPearl like to operate, and Appleby's done a really nice job there. That defense is going to have to play smart in the second half. On the other side of things, the question for Ledyard becomes that defense. What did they do different defensively? Because I think defensively it became easier for Ledyard when they started controlling the ball more. But that Ledyard defense looked a little shaky in the beginning as well. So it's fascinating, who's gonna be able to find that weakness first.
Yeah, I think that goal being scored so early, like the first minute of the game, kind of caught them off guard and maybe rattled the cage a little bit. And it took them some time to kind of get composed again. And once they did, they remembered how to play soccer again. And they kind of slowed things down, got in their possession style of offense, and then before you know it, they were kind of pinging all cylinders again. And like I said before, if they can find that back of the net, I think it's going to build some confidence, and they're going to find a way to put more in the back of the goal. And I think that's going to be a situation for Bacon that, without some of those elder leaders, it's going to be a situation where Coach Starks is going to have to be really mindful of who he has in the field, and do they have the ability to finish 40 minutes of good soccer.
Well, we know that Colin, a great player and coach in your own right. I was a high school soccer player myself, but we shouldn't be the ones trying to get to the skinny of this thing. If it's soccer scoop you want, it's the sports doctor. What do you got?
Casey, you've done it all. You've played soccer. You've coached soccer. I mean,
I've watched
I feel
soccer.
like you should be to my right-hand side with the Bacon kids right now. But since you weren't there, way too many giveaways Coach Starks talked about in the first half. And he's starting to ask his sophomores to play with more composure in the second half. And he got a couple guys warming up at the halftime, so you could see some subs for Bacon. On the other side, to my left, head coach Bill Glennie from Ledyard. Too much dribbling on the offensive end. Every time they dribble the ball gets stolen. Next thing you know, Ledyard is playing behind the ball, coach. And listen, also play better D. Keep your man in front of you and don't get beat. Coach, Ledyard seemed to find a bit of a rhythm to end the first half. They got to find a way to stick one in the net.
Thank you, Sports Doctor. Yeah, Bacon Academy, whether it's Nico Matucci or Ian Sargent, Stephen LaLiberty, Keegan Appleby, that's a group. Those are all sophomores. As much as I called Appleby's name and I called LaLiberty's name and Sargent, these guys are all playing as sophomores. That's the group that he's challenging to step up. And on the other side of things, it was almost like Coach Glennie again had the headphones on. He's a great coach for a reason. He sees the same things that we see, and he knows that his defense needs to play better. And he also, I think that the dribbling thing was a great point, right? Passing is the way to efficiently break it up, not dribbling.
Yeah. I would often tell my players, let the ball do the work. The ball doesn't need water. The ball doesn't need food. The ball needs air. It's about it. And that ball's never going to get tired. So let that ball do the work. Dribbling unnecessarily, allows the opposition to create their shape and stay tight, right, nice and compact. Moving that ball will create holes. So let that ball do the work. He's absolutely right.
When I'm laughing because I was guilty of having be the victim of, or maybe the example of a high school soccer coach who came down to do drills in Colchester, and to show the kids the exact thing you just showed. He put them all on a line. He said, "All right, you take your ball, and you go ahead and you dribble and show me your dribbling skills." And they would all go and they'd bust out, and he'd just kick it in a nice long, easy pass, and it would go right past the kid to where the spot was, to the cone. Yeah. And then the next kid would go and he would do it again and again. And he's like, "What am I teaching?" And the kids are like, "It's easier to pass it to the cone than dribble it to the cone." He's like, "That's right." In the meantime, these kids are all trying to beat, they're all trying to beat the ball. You're not gonna. The ball, right. I love that. The ball does not get tired, and the ball doesn't need food.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that, it's a logical thing, and you don't get style points. You get points for putting the ball in the back of the net. And if you can do that, and actually give a lot of credit to Bacon in that first half, there were times, I know Coach Starks wasn't happy with some turnovers here and there, but really the first probably 15, 20 minutes, they're letting that ball do the work.
Yeah.
It was two-touch soccer. It got away from it a little bit in the second part of the first half, but in general, they did a nice job of that in the beginning part of the first half.
Sports doctor.
Yeah, I got a question for Coach. How important is it, say, in the first 5 minutes or so, for Ledyard to stick within the net and really try to take control of this game in the second half? Kind of flip the roles a little bit. So at the beginning of the game, Bacon scored quick. Now how do we come on in the second half as Ledyard goes and stick within and roll from there? How important is it for the Colonels?
I don't know if it's important to put a goal in the first 5 minutes. I think it's important to set the tone. They got to come at these guys, like hell on wheels here and really dictate the tone here and put a lot of more energy, put these guys in their heels. Remember, Bacon's playing a lot of young guys. You want to kind of catch these guys off guard here. So if he can set the tone, give these guys a lot of energy, win all these 50-50 balls, the goal will come.
I think that what you see is that in the first 10 minutes, I'm going to guess that Ledyard's going to come out like gangbusters in the first 10 minutes of this half. And Bacon's going to have to weather an early storm. From there, it's going to be interesting to see how things settle.
Yeah.
And then if the lead's still there, then you're going to have that last 10 minutes where there's going to be another storm, because then that's going to be that frantic having, the push it. But this first 10 minutes right now, if I'm Bacon, has to be a crisp 10 minutes.
There's going to be some ebb and flow for sure. We'll see how it goes.
LaPearl, Washington. Washington sees two people right away. And Washington with a quick ball on goal, but got deflected by Bacon, and Bacon settles. Coming out the other end is Guerra. Guerra, a little overlap and run now. La Liberty puts it out in front, and Snow can't control it. Right back the other way to LaPearl, and it's taken away by McLaughlin. Up the middle, Blumberger trying to get it to Snow, and McLeod comes off his line. Nice job. And it's definitely getting chippy down there, as Snow has been getting very, very physical up front, and he's going to get talked to right now. Is he going to get a card? We'll see, but he's going to get a chat.
Yeah, I'd like to see a nice, clean second half here. You got two good teams, really close game. Like to see them play with 11 on the side here. I'm glad that, Lou, the official there, kind of stepped in and just talked to the boys, settle things down. Hopefully it continues.
Yeah, Snow, Snow's a big kid. He's an attack kid. He's a forward, motion guy, and he's tried to get physical, which I think is a legit way to approach this Ledyard defense, to try to be physical with some of their players. And just not quite that physical. That's an easy message from an official. I was glad to see the card stayed in the pocket.
Yeah, for sure. And you got some big kids in the back line for Ledyard, so certainly there's going to be some knocks. There's going to be some physicality. You just got to keep your head.
Yeah, it's not an undersized Colonels defense. They've got some good size of their own. Led in part by Cam Reynolds, who's good size. Reynolds is a junior, and he anchors that defense back there. But Burton's not undersized either.
Yeah, Cam is your classic center back. Tall guy, ball winner in the air, physically strong, plays the ball forward. Pretty classic center back.
And Chris Washington, the younger brother of Nick Washington, who's a former football player, is a monster back there defensively for Ledyard as well.
Yeah, they got a big back line. I'd like to see them get a little bit higher on the outsides, so that way the outside mids and outside backs can work in more concert. But that might come with more experience.
In the midfield, we get a whistle, but I like the sportsmanship right there, as Matucci helped them up.
That's what it's all about, man. Playing a clean game, having some fun, being out here, good sportsmanship. You're not going to get anything with playing low-class soccer, and that right there is an example of some high-class soccer.
Ledyard, ball put in just outside the 18, and it'll be controlled by the Colonels.
But see right there in that long ball case, you had both forwards kind of sitting behind the Bacon back line, so that's an easy ball from the wing and push back out. You have to have one in front, one behind. You can't hide behind the back line. You'll never see the ball.
Blumberger had plenty of space, but Bacon with only 3 offensive players only 4. I mean, they're sitting 6 back.
Yeah, you got sitting there as that number 6 or 8. They're kind of playing a 4-2-3-1. So they're going to have, your 6 and your 8 as their holding center mids with, your number 9 just in front. So they're going to kind of play more defensive mind. You can see it right there. 4 in the back, 2 sitting in front. So they're I don't want to say they're happy with the 1-goal lead, but I think they're going to look for their attacks.
Oh, you know what? We're going to get one this time.
Yep.
Snow's going to get it. Snow's going to get it this time, as he took McLeod out, and McLeod had the ball. So that's a red card.
Oh, it's a straight red.
That's a red card, and that is going to cost Harry Snow.
That's going to cost Bacon. Now they're playing a man down for the next, roughly 36 minutes here.
That is a bad penalty. Harry Snow, the senior, they got the straight red card for taking out McLeod, and I can't say much. I can't say much about it. I mean, he had just a minute before had gotten the warning about being a little overly physical down there, and he just pretty much. I mean, McLeod clearly had the ball.
Yeah.
It was in his possession. It wasn't a bang bang kind of thing. And
no, it's like a late hit in the quarterback. They're going to protect that keeper in their box all day long.
Yep, and Snow just they're a little too aggressive. So now
you're going to see a big time, defensive posture by Bacon. Can they survive 36 minutes of 10v11?
I mean, it's a 35. It's a 37-minute power play.
Yeah.
And now Bacon. I mean, now Ledyard can afford to change its shape as well, if it wants to change things up and really go offensive right now. Maybe it gets away with that, or just play it straight like they have been. Just thinking eventually. Now, not only are you playing 10, you're playing 10 worn-out kids too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think Snow's going to want that one back. He's a senior. He should know better. He's been playing soccer a long time. He's going to want that one back because now he's knowing he's letting his team down a little bit.
And the other thing, too, is it's really important for Bacon and Ledyard. Ledyard's got to be careful that it doesn't get caught looking for, like, a little physicality on their own right.
Well, they're called power play goals for a reason, Case. So if they can get a counterattack, liking back to, U.S. men's national team soccer, a couple World Cups ago, they weren't the most talented team, but they played this great counterattack, style offense, and they scored a lot of goals that way. So if Ledyard's not careful, they get too many guys forward, that counterattack could be pretty lethal on Bacon's side.
Well, Bacon's turned up the offense already here with, off the counterattack, and seems very content playing with the 10-man.
Well, then you wonder, all right, so they're down a man now. Does Ledyard change their shape and play like a 4-3-3? Do they push another man forward?
Nice ball, Guerra. Centers, left foot low, and just goes sailing past Matucci.
Because they're still playing that classic 4-4-2 right now, but you see Pollard is the number 9, and you got, Washington up top as one of the forwards here. Do they send, as time goes on, they send another man forward?
And I like that Ledyard didn't handball and didn't see it. I like that Ledyard's not trying to get overly aggressive. Certainly you can get that sort of mentality, and that's where mistakes get made, and instead they're playing composed, which I like a lot.
Yeah, you don't want to change it up too soon. Once again, we're 5 minutes into the second half here. You're playing a man up right now. Once again, get that rhythm down, see what system they're going to play, knock around your 4-4-2. As time goes on, maybe you change your shape. But let's get the composure down, see how they're going to play their 10-man system.
Goal kick for Bacon.
But the Bacon forwards are playing miles apart. You see one on one side, one on the other. That's hard to do. You really got to stay connected. I always tell my forwards, you're playing like you're on a string, left and right together. Like you're tethered together by a rope.
Matucci gets tangled up with McLeod, so they're certainly making runs at the keeper.
Here's where the back end of Ledyard's got to get up. They got to shrink that field. Look at the gap right there. You got about a 20-yard gap between the back end and Ledyard's attack. You got to shrink that gap. Go beyond the half.
Stein with a shot and a goal! What a beautiful ball! And a goal, Ledyard right back onto the mix, tied 1-1. Gorgeous for the Colonels on the counterattack.
Well, very prolific. The sports doctor said the first 5 minutes, he's about a minute off, but we'll take it. 20 seconds away from being right, but yeah, I mean, that's it.
Freshman
Elijah Stein. I talked about him earlier, Colin. I said he was one of the 2 freshmen, along with Peyton Luther, that played so well in the Stonington game. He's got a great soccer IQ, and he had a chance there. He saw Claffey up, and he put that ball right in the back of the net. That was a beautiful ball, and a 1-1 game here as we are all tied.
Now you're going to see some life. Now you're going to see a lot more life. They got a little more confidence, a little more wind in their sails now. I think you're going to see Ledyard keep the pressure on despite the 10-man, or 10-man disadvantage by Bacon.
Here comes Little Liberty, gives it up through the midfield to McLaughlin. Bacon trying a little counterattack. Matucci trying to get it down. McLaughlin, and it's nicely played off and out by Joe Burton, and it'll be a throw-in for Ledyard.
I'm sure Coach Glennie had, gave these kids an earful at halftime about their work ethic and their, work rate toward the ball, and you're seeing a different Ledyard team in the second half in terms of work rate so far.
Bacon will have a throw-in far side.
And then you see Nick Washington as your classic target forward right now with the other forward sitting in.
And this is where that long ball, he can be so dangerous. Give him space and let him run on.
And that's why you see 3 stretching for Bacon. You know, typically it's a +1. You put 2 guys on 1, but they know Nick is a pretty nose for the goal kind of guy. They're going to put 2, at least 2, if not 3 guys on him in those situations.
McLeod with the boot. The Liberty loses control. Up the middle goes Pollard. Now LaPearl plays it outside. Washington. Can he get there? Yes, he can. Keeps it on his foot, and I think we're going to get a corner kick. That was a nice job. Washington was going there with Consiglio, and he got the corner. LaPearl and Washington playing a little 2-man ball. Now LaPearl with a little chip in front. High arcer. There comes Washington for the head ball, but he can't quite get there. And nicely played out. Now running onto it is Guerra. Guerra with Matuccio. Here's a chance to switch fields. Tries to run that middle through.
Great ball.
Running onto it. Beautiful opportunity here for the Bobcats. Stop. Shot. And a block job. And that was, you got to let that one go. Stanchina had a chance. You got to let that shot get off.
There's that counterattack we talked about, right? So, you know, we have a corner kick here by Ledyard on this side, and then all of a sudden in a matter of seconds, it's the opposite way. Great ball by Guerra there, slotting that ball between the outside back and center back for that shot. I mean, that was a fantastic, you know, ball, great field vision.
Yeah, Stanchina that time, I think, not to be too critical, but you got to get the shot off. You can't you can't stop on a dime and try to get off a rip. You're in stride. You just got to let that foot get on the ball.
And that's one of those circumstances, Casey, we talked about. You know, you're down a man. We can't toy with the ball. We can't get fancy. Put a ball in the frame. You can't score without putting a ball in the frame.
Alex Pulse checking into the ball game, the junior for Bacon Academy, has it on the far side, and he'll have a throw-in down there for the Bobcats.
Yeah, they're still sitting 4 guys back there. You know, got 1 forward, Washington, and they're still sticking 4 guys on him. So it's an interesting situation. I would probably throw 1 more of those backs forward a little bit. That way the ball pops out. You're going to possess it in this 30-yard area.
Well, Liberty plays it back in for the Bobcats. Nice step in by LaPearl, and he was thinking Washington was going to go.
That's where I think Coach Glenn wants to be a little bit more patient. Connect those passes. You're a man up. There's always going to be a guy available. Take your time. Get the ball forward. Let's build it. Because now it's a Bacon ball, and they're going the opposite way again.
Am I the only one that thinks the idea of a bacon ball sounds delicious?
I haven't had dinner yet, Casey. Don't get me started.
Oh, well, you know what they say? They say everything's better with bacon. I don't know why that's not the bumper sticker for the high school, but it should be.
It should be. You're right.
You know, you're right though that when you're a man up, somebody's open at all times. You can't mark 10 with 9, so someone's there.
Yeah, I've never claimed to be a math guy, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
A nice little nifty move by Luke Gilbert, but he couldn't make anything happen. So we do see a couple subs into the ball game. Gilbert's into the ball game. Pulse into the ball game.
You know, tell you what, I watched the Stonington Ledyard game in this field on game day last time it was aired, and very different style compared to what Ledyard's dealing with this game compared to last game. Stonington is a very possession-based team, don't get me wrong, but they're whipping balls in left and right. You're not seeing a lot of that from Bacon today. It's pretty much on the ground.
And the biggest difference whenever you play Stonington, and here's a through ball to let Guerra try to run on, long ball he'll be running with Washington, is Sam Montalto is just a force of nature. They just play him up on his own, and they just count on him to make plays, and you got to mark him with at least 2 guys, because if you mark him with 1, he's just so physical. He just overwhelming. The first goal of that game, he had somebody hanging on him, and he just out kind of out-strengthened. So that changes how Stonington does things, because you talk about the heads-up nature of your players, right? You know how your players know what's going on. It was Montalto at halftime who told his team, he said, if they've got 2 guys on me at all times, run on, because someone's going to be open. They can't mark us all. Someone come on. And in the second half, the floodgates opened, and you saw how well they are. But it's amazing how what a difference that one kind of player can make.
And that's the presence of mind from your team. You know, Jimmy Butler is marked. You got to play Tyler Hero. I mean, it's one of those situations where you got to find your Robin to your Batman. And in those situations, I think Sam, everyone knows his Batman. And I said it last year when we broadcasted the East Line Stonington game. I said, this kid is a special kid. You know, he's that natural goal scorer. Harken back to recent years, Tyler Lehman, Jeff Tryon, those kinds of kids, you know, the physical specimen who has got a great shot, left foot, right foot. You got to watch them, but that should open up holes for somebody else. So they're able to play the long ball as well as the short ball, mix things up.
And you see now as Ledyard's trying to use Washington, they're going to try to hit a counterattack, switch the field real quick and let Washington run. They know they've got that space. And I expect Washington's going to get, you know, a good opportunity here in the not too long from now.
I still want to see this back end higher case. Look at this big gap here. You got 4 guys marking nobody. Get your outside backs forward. Have them join the attack and support your outside midfielders. Even higher. Get them to the 30-yard line even. You know, if you get some speedy outside backs, they can become attacking players.
Back to the other side, LaPearl. Inside it goes to Washington. Spin move, fancy footwork, and stout defense from Blumberger.
He just couldn't get out of his own way there. He's trying to find some free space and some daylight. Just couldn't get it.
Garrett couldn't get there. Out it goes, and it'll be a throw-in for Washington.
But that's when that ball's playing in Washington's feet. Someone's got to work off the ball to be an option. You can't grab your popcorn and watch the show. You got to move off the ball and be an option for Washington. Otherwise, he's gonna get balled up all day.
I love the footwork down here, and he just got himself a throw, which came out of nowhere. Is it going to be a throw or a corner? What's the signal? Throw. But I love that. He didn't give up, but that's Washington not giving up on the ball and having the skill set to keep it on his foot so that he could get it off of a Bacon Academy player. And now you've got a throw, and as we've seen in high school soccer more than ever, these throws down here on the sides are on offensive set plays with kids being able to put the ball in.
You got it. We played against a kid from Tolland years ago, did a flip throw from the 40-yard line to the far post. I mean, just absolutely insane. Harken back to Naugatuck High School back, I think it was like 2002. It's actually on Sports Center. Flip throw from the half line, end up scoring a goal off of a touch. Ended up on Sports Center, won a state final for it.
Outside it goes, and Stein puts it out wide. It'll be a goal kick for Bacon. Yeah, I talked with Rob Brule about this. I said I think perhaps one of the level of skill that has permeated high school soccer is remarkable to me. It's come so far. Even the teams that I would say are not considered to be particularly skilled are littered with skilled soccer players. And of all the things I've seen change, throw-ins as weapons, that wasn't the case when we played. If you could get a kid who could, make a long throw, you might use it on the sideline to kind of advance play. But the amount of set pieces that we're seeing now off of the throws is just remarkable to me. And what a weapon it is. I remember Sienna Chaponi at Waterford with her flip throw, and I must have watched 15 goals over the course of the year just from, and I think people still marvel at how far that can go. But we saw Stonington for the last few years use it as well. With the ability to put a ball 30, 40 yards in the air on a throw.
Yeah, Cam. I mean, it wasn't even a flip throw. He just had a really long throw,
yeah.
And it became a big weapon.
LaPearl in front and just sails it wide. Beautiful job, LaPearl and Washington. Hey, LaPearl, Washington. LaPearl and Washington have been doing some really nice work all day long, and that time LaPearl had a great chance and just kicked the field goal instead of the soccer goal.
Yeah, he's going to want that one back. Angle's good, everything's on par, just got to stay over that ball a little bit, keep it low, because once again, even low, that keeper's not going to make a clean save there. That's going to be a second chance opportunity.
Now it feels like it's 5-1 Ledyard right now because the tides have turned especially since the red card for Snow. But it is still a 1-1 game. I mean, it is still a tie game. Bacon has not lost the lead yet.
Well, tell you what, scoring that one goal to tie it, though, is going to change the mentality a little bit for Ledyard. If this was still 1-0 with 20 minutes to go, then Ledyard starts to press a little bit. Then you're going to start seeing a lot of long balls. So thankfully they scored that one goal to get that game tied. They can continue playing that possession-style offense and find those feet. I would like them to try to find a different target because they've played the ball into Nick Washington probably about 12 times in the last 12 possessions here. They got to try to mix up a little and find the opposite side. So if they do that, it might actually free Nick up on this weak side. Yeah, see, Damon switching the field there. That's a good ball by Damon. Just couldn't quite get to it, though. But, yeah, I mean, if we can try to move that ball to the weak side there it might open up Nick a little bit.
I got a funny story after we go, but the sports doctor's on the sidelines. Sports doctor.
Is that a Pearl Washington reference from
Thank you.
Syracuse, Casey?
La
Nice
Pearl
job.
and Washington.
That's right. Coach Starks, 23 minutes left to go, down a guy, short-handed roster. You guys are hanging pretty tough at this point.
Well, yeah, we had some discipline issues, I'd say, but yeah, you don't want to score a goal and hang on for 79 minutes. Nobody wants to do that, and that's not our intent. Now we've got to do some roster changes and some now we are holding on a bit. I hate to say, when you're down a man to this team, and we know they're going to really be trying to attack for that game winner, so we've got to be careful in our attacks at this point. We'll see if we can maintain.
Right. How important is possession at this point?
Critical, and now we're getting afraid with the long ball and the clearance, which old habits are hard to overcome sometimes. But we have the manpower for it. Let's see if we have the discipline.
Any message for Casey O'Neill up there?
Yeah, he's a good man. I miss him hanging around Colchester. I see him more often.
He'll be back. Casey?
Thank you, sports doctor, my man Skip. All right, so Colin, sometimes you have to suspend the technology, right? If it's on the computer, it must be real. If it's in print, it must be true. So I looked at the roster, and I was looking at the Colchester goalkeeper for the better part of 60 minutes, saying to myself, I know it says it's Ryan Claffey, but I know Ryan Claffey. That's not Ryan Claffey, but I don't have an option. I just got my cracked text. It's been Owen Burton in goal the entire time. They switched Burton for Claffey last minute. So Owen Burton has been the keeper for Bacon this entire time. So my apologies, A, to Owen Burton, who I have not given credit for playing a stellar game in goal. And my apologies to Ryan Claffey for making the mistake of not recognizing him, considering that I've only known him pretty much his entire life.
I got to be honest, Case, I can't let you take the full blame here. During the announcement, I did actually check off Owen Burton as the starter. But once again, you mentioned Claffey, and you being a Colchester guy, I had to kind of bow to your knowledge there.
It's all me. I have known Ryan Claffey his entire life. I'm like, that's not him. The Claffeys are very distinct. They all look, it ain't him. So I apologize, Owen. You're doing a great job in goal. And Ryan, I still love the Claffey clan. In front, and I'll tell you, I'll give Bacon a lot of credit though. If they are making a game of it offensively, it feels like they're playing a lot of defense, but then they are hitting these quick transitions. Not every time, but they're getting a little bit more off. I'd say they've gotten more chances, better opportunities here with 10 men than they did much of the first half.
Yeah, they're certainly making the best of their opportunities for sure. I mean, anytime they have possession, they're finding ways to get that ball, and they're attacking half of the field. They're certainly not going to take this game laying down. If Coach Starks can get a point out of this game and end with a 1-1 tie, he's done a great job today with these boys. Because as he mentioned, kind of a younger group here today. He mentioned, can they stay disciplined and avoid the long ball? Can they keep possession? If he can kind of keep this ship where it is and keep this game 1-1, I think that would be for lack of a better term, a moral victory.
Out it comes. Ledyard with a chance here. Nice ball, Luther, and he loses it. Bacon doing a nice job defensively that time. Now here comes Guerra the other direction for Bacon. Guerra's playing 2-on-4 right now, and a stone job. Well done by Reynolds. And you got to love Joe Burton along on the back line for Ledyard.
Well, Bacon's playing 5 at the back right now. They're playing 5 at the back with 2 guys in front and 2 forwards. So, they're making no bones about it. We're going to stretch 2 guys on their back 4, look for the counterattack. We're going to sit some guys here, play with 4 or 5 at the back whenever we can, and see if we can keep this game, tied or steal one.
Transition the other direction, played back, and Burton steps up, and he'll take a little chance, and we'll transition out of the back end. Sargent, nice work out there, Ian Sargent. Last time I saw Ian, he was the center fielder on a fine Colchester Little League All-Star team. He's a great soccer player, though. He really can run.
I think the back 4 has to kind of balance, risk versus reward. Am I going to knock it when I'm under pressure, or can I build in possession? And it's going to come down to what they see in front of them, because if they take too much of a risk in the back, it's going to be, Ledyard's reward.
Beautiful. That's a great job by Burton. LaPearl put a low ball, one of those, do I let it go or do I not let it go? And he stood right on the post, made himself tall. Sports doctor.
Yeah, head coach Bill Glennie. Coach, you guys got one in the first 6 minutes to start the second half, tied it up. They're down a man right now. Is this the time for your team to put another one in the net?
Yeah, I mean, you would think we were down a man the way things have been going for the last few minutes. We're just, I'm just trying to get them to simplify everything, and we're just making everything so difficult on ourselves.
You're still talking about no dribbling and more passing.
Yeah, we're pretty good when we decided we're going to move the ball, and we're not a very good dribbling team, and we end up losing the ball when we try dribbling too much.
Thanks, Coach Casey.
Well,
Next goal could win this.
You know, Sports Doctor, dribbling and passing, the Pearl Washington reference stands up even here in soccer.
Yeah, no, it's true. The ball travels faster and farther when you're passing it. We talk about this, like I said, in basketball. Do you beat the pressure with the dribble, or do you beat the pressure with a pass?
That's right.
So it's the same philosophy out here. Dwayne the Pearl Washington. I love that reference, Casey.
I'm glad, Sports Doctor. Guerra, far post, that's a nice ball. And McLeod came off his line, did a nice job, but that's a dangerous ball right there. Right now, Bacon just feels dangerous right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Glenn said it best there. You know, he wants them to simplify things. I think they're pressing a little bit. You know, it's that baseball player who's going 0 for 15 and they're trying to get that hit. You know, you don't have to do too much here. Keep it simple. Let the ball do the work. Find east to west options. You're always going to have that man open. And don't look to dribble too much. Let that ball move about the field. It'll create opportunities. It'll come.
Pulse steps in. We're going to get in. I think that's going to be a penalty on Pulse. I think he had lost position that time. So Alex Pulse is going to get the whistle, and we'll go in the other direction here now. Ledyard. No, they're going to say that was against Ledyard. I take that back, Alex Pulse. They're going to say that was against Ledyard, so they're saying Pulse had position. So I take it back. Pulse was right all along, and here comes the kick for the Bobcats. And in front. Now look for Ledyard to try to break out here. Washington, steady. With Stein, little overlapping run into Pollard. Here's some spacing for the Colonels. Now it's going to be a run on, and the speed on the outside. Appleby's going to get to that ball first. What a great job, Keegan Appleby, shielding off Stein, and it'll result in a goal kick.
Think back to that restart a second ago by Bacon. You know, you have a bunch of tall trees in the back line of Ledyard's back four. I'm not putting the ball in the air. You know, Bacon scored their only goal of the game on ball in the box nice and low. Keep the ball low. You're not going to win a ball over 17, over 13, over these tall trees. You know, Cam Reynolds, you're just not going to. These are big guys.
You know, right now, when I have a man advantage outside, it goes LaPearl. LaPearl puts it on goal, and Burton with the catch. If I've got a man advantage, a 10-9 advantage, space is my friend. I want to try to space my guys out. And I want to try to use, and they did a nice job there for a second, but then that long run-on isn't what I need there. I want to transition pass to pass, good 15 yards away from each other. Bacon can't chase, and they can't mark everybody. I think Ledyard right now has to, switch fields. You got there's where the extra man is.
But take that ball across your body, go wide with it. Don't cut it back in where the pressure came from.
That's right.
Too often players, you know, they receive that ball where it came from, they go back in the same pressure. No, take it across your body, go away from the pressure, find that space as you mentioned. It'll create some opportunities. And I'm telling you right now, I keep on saying it, you know, they're a man up, but on the attack, they're not. You know, they're keeping 4 guys back here on these 2, and I understand you want to keep numbers and avoid the counterattack, but you get one more guy involved in this little space right here to open things up a little bit more.
Pollard. I give a lot of credit to Sargent down there, really banging him down with defensively. That was well done. And Sargent will have the throw for the Bobcats. Whereas again, let's see how the conditioning comes into play. 15 minutes remaining. We've seen some subs, but these Bobcats have to be running on empty pretty soon.
Yeah, you're seeing more subs this half for sure than the first half, and I think that's smart on Coach Stark's part. He knows he can't, you know, weather the storm for 40 minutes without subs.
Guerra loses it to Washington, puts it right back in, and Sargent will let it go out of bounds, and then he'll make the throw. Sees Liberty. Now he's going to give the throw up to Blumberger, who's going to try to go down the sideline to Guerra, and it's out of bounds, and it'll be Colonel ball.
Bring the ball down to your feet. Find your teammates. Move that ball across the field. Find that pocket. Put a ball in the frame.
Oh, well, Liberty just popped an ankle. He's limping out there. That's the last thing that Ledyard, obviously, that Bacon needs. Here's a chance in front. A nice opportunity from Peyton Luther. Had the left foot. He had Washington running clear, and it was knocked out of bounds by the Bobcats. Well, Liberty seems to be okay. Just looked like he maybe popped the ankle real quick, but he's up and moving. Here's a high ball in front, far post, and kept in, but no, they're going to say that it was out of bounds. A nice effort from Joe Burton, though, to try to keep it in, but it'll be a goal kick for Bacon.
There's two schools of thought on that ball on that left side. He put it across the box. You go left-footed, which is potentially his weak foot. I'm not sure what foot he is. Most players are probably a right-footed strong player. Either you're putting that ball in the frame, or you see in Washington cut across the box there and you play a ball across the box hoping for a redirection for a goal. But either one is fine, but you got to make sure you get a quality outcome.
Put right back in. Right now, you can see the Colonels pushing the action right now, trying to keep the ball on the offensive side of things. 13 minutes remaining. They sense it. They know they've got that man advantage. And all Bacon's trying to do is wait for their moment. Wait for their moment for a counterattack. Try to catch Ledyard transitioning. Far post, that's a great ball, great idea.
Outstanding ball there by Washington. And as a coach right now, Glenn has been doing this a long time. We've certainly had our rivalries over the years. A great coach in his own right. And he's smart to stay calm and composed here because they're going to feed off him. If he starts to get animated, his players would start to press, and that's just going to create bad things. So he's letting the boys play, see if they can pull this out themselves, and I think they will.
Guerra. Bacon sending some people in the offensive pattern, which means Ledyard's going to have numbers right now. Oh, and a great step through and knocked it out of bounds. Blumberger.
Yeah, they had 2-3 guys going towards that goal. If that ball gets through, that's going to be super dangerous.
Pollard and Washington. Flicked out to Luther. Luther leaves it for LaPearl. LaPearl puts it in front, and Blumberger again. Head ball clears out, and Sargent will go overlap with Ledyard, keeping the pressure on, though, not letting Bacon clear. Now Bacon with a chance to run out. Logan Maselli. And step in on the other side. Colonels down in the corner now. Stein and a slide tackle on the far outside. Well done. That looks like McLaughlin out there.
Yeah, Blumberger a lot like Reynolds. Two big guys in the back. Really hard to win balls in the air. Really strong in the ball. Definitely a force in the middle for both sides.
And we got Stein down on the far side for Ledyard. 11:27 and counting. He's up, and he's going to come off, I think. No, he's going to stay on. Good for him. All right, so Elijah Stein, who scored the goal for the Colonels, which tied this thing up at 1 after Bacon was up within the first 2 minutes of the ball game. Here's a ball in the middle. Washington with a head ball, and it just sails wide.
I think that was off of Bacon there. That might be a corner.
That's what Burton's trying to tell the official, and he's saying, "Oh, it was off of Washington," and now the officials are conferring, and he says, "No." Burton's going, "No. That was too scary. You can't give him the corner too."
Well, 10 minutes to play here. Now it gets to a point where you got to throw some more guys forward if you want to get a game winner here. I don't think it's out of the realm of what's expected here.
Well, we talked about the first 10 minutes Ledyard putting the pressure on. They did. They scored the goal. We talked about the next 10 minutes being the sort of settling, and it's been about 15 minutes of settling, and now we're here at the last 10 minutes. And what's it going to be? Is it going to be Ledyard using their size, strength, shot, and just wide. Oh, a rip from Feldsend, and it just went wide.
If they can get some more opportunities like that and then just crash the frame, they might get those second chance opportunities as we mentioned before and find a way to, knock this game into overdrive here and win this game 2-1.
Ben Fieldson had such a great, that was a great shot too. That's 2 feet, maybe a foot and a half. Now Pollard stops, rips, and a beautiful, sturdy save by Burton. Stood his ground, took it off the chest, and Bacon will transition.
It's a big-time save right there. A hard-hit ball like that, it's an easy ball to drop, and if Ledyard's crashing that, it could be an opportunity. So credit to him for holding on to that ball. Well hit.
Out of bounds off of Washington, so in the middle now, Bobcats, Stanchina. Maselli plays it up, and in Washington. Sargent will take the throw in. Step in, nicely done. Sargent, Maselli, a lovely diagonal feed, but it goes through the wickets of Matucci, and it will be McLeod with the punt. I do love the fact that soccer is one of the only sports where the word lovely can be used. And you can almost automatically hear a Scottish or English voice attached to it. Oh, here's an opportunity for the Colonels in front. Ball is crossing. There's no one home.
Yeah, great ball across the box there. Almost an opportunity for a goal. If someone's sitting there, redirection, easy goal. That would be a layup.
Pollard tried to do it all himself. Couldn't. Sargent can't clear. LaPearl and Field Center all over it down there. And finally, an attempt to clear, but Washington steps in, and there's now Bacon will control Stanchina.
And that gets frustrating, too, for a team. You know, you have so many opportunities, so many balls knocking on the doorstep, you just can't convert, and that becomes frustrating, too. You can take a little bit of wind out of your sails, actually.
Oh, here's a big chance for Ledyard. Here comes Pollard. Left foot, shot, goal! Damon Pollard. He had Washington, and Burton didn't know where to go, and the Colonels, with 7:42, finally put one in to take the 2-1 lead. The junior, Damon Pollard, with the go-ahead goal for Ledyard.
You know, it almost seemed like it was only a matter of time. You know, they've been in this half for, it feels like the last 30 minutes straight here. And, you know, credit to them to not give up, get that ball down there and finally find the back of the net. Credit to Damon for pushing that ball through.
2-1 Colonels with 7 minutes. Now Bacon faced with the daunting task of trying to score a goal and not give up another one. Down a man after the red card was given to Harry Snow. Here comes the other side of things, Ledyard. And a nice job by Blumberger there to step in and take it away from Washington.
Yeah, they've got these guys in the ropes. They want to try to put them away a little further. But, you know, Bacon, to their credit, you know, they're going down fighting.
There'll be a throw in. Sargent will throw it in for Bacon.
Bacon's got to play a real direct brand of soccer here this last 6 minutes if they want to get an equalizer. You know, possession's a great thing. It's a beautiful part of the game. But I tell you what, when you're down a man, you got to get balls forward here. You got to get some pacey guys up top and play a really direct brand of soccer.
Right now, Ledyard's putting their foot on the gas. They're going to try to push the tempo. Now, I should let you know, Colin, that as is the case in all of our game day games, and beautiful slide tackle there from Bacon. We do have to figure out who the Waterford Dental Health Player of the Game is going to be, and then of course we have to stay tuned as Peter Wappy will have a clip after the game on our social media on Facebook and Twitter of the Smile Play of the Game. And I already have an idea of what play of the game put the smile on the face of the Ledyard Colonels. So, corner kick here for the Colonels, far side. Bending and through. I don't believe anybody got any body part on it, and if that's the case, it'll remain Ledyard ball. If they say a head, yes, they must have said Bacon must have got a head on it. Otherwise, now they're switching it up. See, I don't think anybody touched it, so.
No.
So it should be a Bacon throw.
Yep. I think that was untouched across the field and just went out of bounds. Simple as that.
Oh, nice job by Washington stepping in for Ledyard.
That's been a big difference. Regardless of the 10v11 situation, Ledyard's done a much better job overall since probably the middle of the first half till now of really stepping up their energy level and winning those 50-50 balls.
Yeah, keeping the ball in. Fieldsen's been so good. He and LaPearl have put the pressure on, and Washington on the back end defensively has done a great job anticipating Bacon's passes, stepping in. They're basically just not letting them get the ball into their offensive side. It's like they can't clear the zone.
Yeah, LaPearl's done a lot of the dirty work today.
Yeah, he's played very well. You know, it's one of those things where as a soccer coach, you see things, on the field, but when you broadcast, you have to kind of follow the ball. So, you can get a chance to look at some of the other things, and you get a chance to see the guys who are doing the dirty work, the little things that perhaps the following of the ball doesn't show you. Who's anticipating and stepping up and in the right position all the time.
Yeah, and I think in general, the way soccer is broadcasted, you're able to see the weak side players. If the ball is in the strong side of it, you still see the weak side runs and so on. But you're right, when you are broadcasting and you're watching the ball and calling out players and ball movement, it is hard to see that movement.
Yeah, watching soccer on TV, one of the things I love is that and we get it here on game day as well, that high, wide shot where you can see sometimes you can see all 20 players that are, not in goal. And you can see the movement and one of the things I love is watching how they move like a flock of birds.
Yeah.
They move in unison. It's really beautiful to watch. Another corner kick for Ledyard, and Burton steps in with the catch, and here's a chance for a transition for Bacon. This might be one of their best and last opportunities here with 3:45 remaining. And Ledyard steps in, field send. And LaPearl have just been so fabulous.
Yeah, you want to play that direct brand as I mentioned, but at the same time, you want to be careful because you're playing a ball into one man with 4 guys on his back. You got to find his feet or take some more space to build the attack. If you don't have to shoot it long, don't shoot it long. Take a couple more touches and build the attack that way because you can't play a long ball to one guy versus 4.
3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. Ledyard on top 2-1. They have come back from a 1-0 early deficit to Bacon, and they're trying to pop one more in. Luther running on, and he won't be able to get there. Instead, McLaughlin.
Crafty.
Washington stops it on a dime, waiting for his players to set up, looking for Luther. And a step in and a clear out from Consiglio. And it will be a throw in for Ledyard as we creep now down to 2.5 minutes remaining here in the ball game.
Ledyard's certainly not, content with the 1-goal lead here. They're looking to push for that second goal here, to make it 3-1. They're not sitting back at all.
We want to remind everyone that Game Day is brought to you by the Burns Agency. In your neighborhood, taking care of your home, auto, business, and life insurance needs since 1932. At the Burns Agency, you'll never get voicemail. Always a live person, and remember, you buy better at Burns. And by Waterford Dental Health, where our entire team is dedicated to providing you the personalized, convenient, and affordable dental care you and your family deserve. 177 Boston Post Road, that's Waterford Dental Health.
Not that it's a foregone conclusion, but assuming the result stays the way it is, they say that you win or you learn. Sometimes when you lose a game, you're learning. I think Ledyard might win and learn today. I think there's some things that they learned today that Coach Glenn is going to instill in their next training session in terms of, work rate and composure and passing and less dribbling. So,
nice job by Burton. Well, I agree with you, Colin. And they say that there are no bad wins. There's just like there's no good loss, but there are losses where you can learn things. And I like that. There's no wins and there's wins and learns. I don't believe that there's such a thing as a bad win. At the end of the day, a win's a win, and that's the goal of the whole thing. But there's a lot of, certainly Ledyard's going to go to school on this win. Just like they went to school on their loss to Stonington, they're going to go to school on this win and find out a lot about who they are as a team.
Yeah, and once again, it's still early in the season, and you don't know what the season holds in terms of everything going on in this crazy world we live in. So certainly they're going to learn quite a bit from this. Controlling the ball, accuracy of passing, letting that ball do the work, less dribbling, that team concept, and work rate. And I think Coach Glenny, being the good coach that he is, he's definitely going to put that back into play the next session. And I think they'll definitely build from this win.
Nice work in the middle of the field. Tyler Pulse in the ball game, as well as Dante Ricci and Pulse, the freshman, getting that playing time we talked about beforehand. So now I believe everybody on the Bacon Academy roster of the field players has had a chance to get into this ball game. And 20 seconds remaining and counting as we head on down. Of course, after the game, you should tune in to Facebook and Twitter at Game Day CT, and you can see the Sports Doctor's interview with the Waterford Dental Health Player of the Game, and you can see tonight's top play. The Great Smiles start here at Waterford Dental Health. One last opportunity and a goal! As time expired, is it going to count? Are they going to let it go? Peyton Luther, did you get one to finish? They're saying yes at the buzzer. Peyton Luther. So the goals tonight for Ledyard, freshman Elijah Dean, junior Damon Pollard, and freshman Peyton Luther. So the freshmen sandwiched the goals for Ledyard as they beat Bacon 3-1. That goal literally at the buzzer. So we want to thank our sponsors, the Burns Agency. Like game day, the Burns Agency is always local and live. We focus on local community, and you always get a live person on the phone. So remember, you buy better at Burns. So certainly, player of the game tonight is up for grabs. I think as is often the case, Damon Pollard or Nick Washington are the best players on the field. You can never go wrong giving it to one of them. Sports Doctor, from your layman's eyes down on the sideline, what are you thinking?
I like Pollard. He played pretty well. I mean, scored the go-ahead goal, which kind of was the difference down the stretch. But I agree with you. I think that, Ledyard really kind of kept control of that second half, and LaPearl played a hell of a game controlling pace and tempo.
Well, I'm gonna roll it over here to the coach then. What are you thinking? What do you saw?
Yeah, I think Pollard, aside from the game winner, is probably the man of the match. I think just the way he played on both sides of the ball, I think he kind of controlled the pace of everything. He was their go-to, their cog between the defense and the attack. And then I think certainly, putting that game winner in the back of the net kind of solidified, my humble vote for the man of the match.
Well, then there it is, Sports Doctor. Your player of the game, junior Damon Pollard. The go-ahead goal in this 3-1 Ledyard victory over Bacon Academy. A great job. But you mentioned the work of Tyler LaPearl. I don't think it can go, you can't give enough superlatives to LaPearl, aside from helping me make the Pearl Washington reference. LaPearl did so much work. In the early going, it seemed like he and Washington had so many really nice, elegant plays that resulted in some offense for Ledyard. He was stout defensively, and I think the turning point in the game came when Ledyard decided to become more aggressive defensively in the midfield. I think they started to really try to jump balls, keep the ball moving forward, and I think LaPearl was a part of that.
Yeah, those guys who can really put in that work ethic, that gritty work, those unsung heroes, so to speak, those are the guys that really can kind of start the engine of the team and allow the offense to get forward, and also, stall the attack of the opposition as well.
So a 3-1, Bacon Academy came in here, had a chance, were undermanned. 4 seniors out of tonight's game. They jumped on top 1-0 early on a goal by Snow, and then we saw sort of Ledyard trying desperately to get that goal. They finally broke through early in the second half when Elijah Stein, the freshman, put in a beautiful ball from about 20 yards out over Owen Burton, and then Damon Pollard knocked in the go-ahead goal, and then from there the final goal with no time on the clock by Peyton Luther for a 3-1 win. Of course, Bacon, their difficulties undermanned were certainly not helped when they lost Harry Snow to the red card very early, and they had to play almost an entire half undermanned. And I really I can't say enough about the Bacon effort tonight. Forget 3-1. That was a evenly matched game, and they played undermanned for 36 minutes of it.
Sure,
Skip Stark should be very proud of the effort. And on the other side of things, a win is a win, and come out of it with one is important.
Yeah, Coach Glennie, I'm sure, is very happy to get that W. As we mentioned before, it's a little tongue-in-cheek, though. He's happy, but he has some work to do. He knows these guys are still a work in progress, and they'll get to the training ground soon and try to polish those things up. But big credit to the Bacon Academy side. Certainly a tale of two halves, but not based on their ability, not based on their work ethic, just based on playing a man down. If they're 11v11, this could be a different result.
Well, a good effort by the Bobcats. They lose 3-1 to the home Colonels tonight. Join us, our next broadcast on game day, Saturday, 6 p.m. We will be giving you the rematch of last year's ECC championship game, the Fitch Falcons and the Stonington High School Bears. The Falcons having just upended the Bears in overtime, so that should be a game to watch on Saturday. Peter Wappy, is that game in Stonington? In Stonington on Saturday. So for Colin Delaney, the coach, and the sports doctor Keith O'Brien, Peter Wappy, and the crew, I am Casey O'Neill saying good night, everybody. Stay tuned for the Sports Doctors Player of the Game and Play of the Game later on social media, Facebook and Twitter. You've been watching Game Day live on theday.com.